My name is Daniel James Carter. I am 17 years old, and on Sunday morning, November 5th, 2017, I lost my life on the wooden floor of First Baptist Church in Southern Thurland Springs, Texas, after being shot twice in the back amidst the sounds of chaos and screaming that surrounded me. I was just an ordinary kid from a small town where everyone knew each other. My dad worked at the feed store, and my mom taught second grade at the local elementary school. We lived in the same little white house my entire life, which had a front porch where my dog Rex would lay in the sun during the summer months. I played varsity football, maintained good grades, and typically spent most Sunday mornings grumbling about wearing dress pants to church. However, despite my complaints, I held a deep affection for our little church. It felt like family to me. That Sunday began like any other. Mom made pancakes while Dad read the newspaper, and I was texting my girlfriend, Sarah, to discuss meeting up after the service. We drove the usual 5 minutes to First Baptist, where I took my customary seat in the fourth row, directly behind the Johnson family. During the singing, their little girl, Emma, would often turn around to wave at me. Pastor Pomeroy had just begun his sermon about loving one's enemies when I heard the first gunshot, followed by more shots and ensuing chaos. I turned around to see a man in all black, armed with a rifle, indiscriminately shooting at everyone. Panic ensued as people dove under the pews. Kids were screaming. I witnessed Mr. Peterson, who had taught my Sunday school when I was younger, collapse to the ground. I saw Mrs. Marshall attempting to protect her baby. A surge of determination overcame me. I did not stop to think. I acted impulsively. I jumped up and ran toward the back of the church, directly toward the shooter instead of away from him. Thoughts of Emma, the other children, and my parents raced through my mind. The first bullet struck me in the shoulder and sent me spinning around. The second bullet hit me in the back, and I fell to the ground with a thud. The taste of blood filled my mouth as everything began to darken and quiet. The last sound I heard was my mother's voice, screaming my name. Suddenly, I was no longer on that floor. I found myself floating above the scene, gazing down at everything unfolding below. I could see my lifeless body lying in a pool of blood, while my parents knelt beside me, my dad attempting to staunch the bleeding, and my mom holding my hand and praying. Paramedics rushed in, but I experienced no pain, no fear, only a strange, peaceful sensation as if I were observing a movie. A warm golden light enveloped me, pulling me upward as if invisible arms cradled my being. I felt utterly unafraid, more awake and alive than I had ever felt in my entire life. Then I saw him, Jesus standing directly in front of me. Nothing, not the images from Sunday school or movies, could have prepared me for this moment. He appeared strong and real, with dark hair and radiant skin that seemed to glow from within. It was his eyes that captivated me, filled with a love so profound it took my breath away. In his gaze, I sensed that he knew all my secrets, every misstep, and every moment of loneliness. Yet he loved me nonetheless. "Daniel," he said, his voice flowing through me like warm honey, "my brave son." I attempted to respond, but I was overwhelmed with emotion and began to cry. These were not tears of sadness, but rather tears of sheer joy and relief. It was as if I had finally laid down a heavy burden I had carried for my entire life. He reached out to touch my face, and waves of love cascaded through me, a love larger than anything I had ever experienced. It felt like being enveloped in liquid sunlight. "You saved 12 people today," he spoke softly. "Your bravery prevented him from reaching the children." I hadn't considered that at all. I simply saw people in peril and acted without hesitation. But then his expression shifted to seriousness. "I need to show you something important," he said. Suddenly, we were no longer surrounded by that beautiful light. We stood at the edge of a pitch-black abyss, the most terrifying place I had ever encountered. The air was thick and oppressive. I could hear distant screams and cries, accompanied by a horrific stench reminiscent of sulfur and death. "This is where souls go who die with murder and hatred in their hearts," Jesus said quietly. "Look, Daniel." I beheld the shooter, the man who had just taken my life and the lives of so many others inside God's house. He was trapped in this abyss of utter darkness, crying out in torment, but it was not merely physical suffering. The horror of understanding his actions washed over him. Each life he had extinguished, each family he had shattered, and every moment of fear he had incited hit him all at once. And the realization would haunt him for eternity. "He chose this path," Jesus explained, his voice tinged with sadness. "Each time he favored anger over forgiveness, each time he fed his rage instead of seeking help, and every time he ignored my call, he chose this fate." Then I was shocked to see many others there as well. Numerous individuals who had attacked places of worship, schools, and other innocent locations. They all dwelled in this darkness, suffering the same endless torment. "They silenced my voice in their hearts until they could no longer hear it," Jesus declared. "They chose to harm my people, to assault places of worship, and to hurt children and families. This is the consequence of their choices." I observed dark entities, actual demons, who tormented these souls. The demons mocked and jeered, reminding them of every wicked thought they had entertained and every opportunity for redemption they had neglected. "But Lord," I managed to ask, "couldn't you have intervened? Couldn't you have saved them somehow?" Jesus looked at me with profound sadness. "Daniel, I called to each of them. I sent people to love them. I provided countless chances for them to make different choices. But love must be chosen freely. Otherwise, it is not true love. They opted to reject me, to reject love, and to reject life itself." He revealed more to me. I witnessed the spiritual battle that unfolds each time someone contemplates violence. Angels attempted to halt them, whispering messages of truth and peace, while demons fueled their anger, promising fleeting satisfaction, all the while steering them toward malevolence. Every attack on my people, on children and families gathered in my name, is a personal attack against me, Jesus said, and I could sense the power in his voice. "Those who wage this war will face an eternal fate of their choosing." Then he showed me something breathtaking. I saw the souls of those who had died in the shooting rising into the most glorious light. I recognized Pastor Pomeroy, appearing youthful and radiant with joy. I saw the Hullum family, all 8 members together, laughing and embracing. 26 souls in total, all welcomed into paradise as martyrs. Jesus explained, "They were killed simply for being in my house and seeking me. Their reward is beyond imagination." However, his demeanor turned urgent as he grasped my shoulders. Daniel, this is why I am sending you back. My people need to understand what is truly occurring. Each time that someone enters the church with evil intentions, hell itself rejoices. He revealed to me churches across America where congregants now felt afraid to gather. Families were opting to stay home on Sundays due to fear, while children had nightmares about Sunday school. This is precisely what the enemy desires, Jesus said. He aims to scatter my people, to instill fear and isolation. He wants parents to keep their children away from me and to hinder believers from congregating in my name. Then Jesus illuminated how church attacks caused many individuals to lose their faith entirely. Some grew angry at God, questioning why he did not protect his people, and others fostered fear and division within their communities. But here is what Satan does not want people to comprehend, Jesus stated, his voice firm. Every act of evil only causes my light to shine brighter. Every assault on my people can strengthen their faith if they choose to let it. Furthermore, everyone who dies in my house becomes a warrior in my heavenly army. He presented me with a vision that brought tears to my eyes. For each individual killed in a church attack, he revealed countless others who came to faith due to the love and forgiveness exhibited by the families of the victims. He showcased how communities united, how churches were fortified, and how his name was exalted even amidst the darkest circumstances. The enemy intends it for evil, Jesus affirmed, but I work all things together for the good of those who love me. Then he looked directly into my eyes, and I felt the weight of eternity in his gaze. Daniel, I'm sending you back with a message. Tell my people this: do not be afraid. Do not allow terror to prevail. Continue gathering in my name. Bring your children to worship. Believe that my house is a sanctuary, not because nothing bad will ever occur, but because I am with you always. He paused, and his voice softened yet strengthened, and conveyed this: every individual who has ever harmed children or attacked my people will answer to me. Justice will prevail, perfect justice. They may believe they have escaped the consequences of their actions, but they will stand before my throne. What you have witnessed today is merely a glimpse of their eternal punishment. I felt chills run down my spine as he spoke, but also informed them, he continued, that even now, even for those who are plotting violence at this instant, there is still time. My mercy surpasses any sin, but it must be accepted while they still draw breath. I am reaching out to the angry, the broken, and those filled with hatred right now. I am beckoning them to come to me, to allow me to heal their wounded hearts and to choose love over violence. Tears streamed down my face as I asked, Lord, will anyone listen? Will my message make a difference? Jesus smiled, and it felt as though a sunrise was unfolding before me. You have already made a difference. Your bravery today saved 12 people. Your story will inspire many more. Some will hear your words and find the courage to enter my house despite their fears. Others who plan evil will hear your testimony and fall to their knees instead of reaching for weapons. Yet his expression became serious once more. However, understand this: more attacks will occur. We are in the end times, and the enemy is aware that his time is limited. There will be increased violence and more attempts to drive my people away from gathering together. But also know this, I am with my people always, even when they traverse through the valley of the shadow of death. He presented me with one final vision. I saw churches across America filled with individuals who refused to live in fear. I watched children joyfully laughing in Sunday school, irrespective of potential dangers. I observed communities of faith growing stronger rather than weaker in the face of adversity. This is my will, Jesus affirmed, that love conquers fear, that faith overcomes terror, and that light vanquishes darkness. Suddenly, a pulling sensation enveloped me. I understood it was time to return. Lord, I do not want to leave, I exclaimed, panic flooding my chest. It is so perfect here, so peaceful. Can I not stay? Jesus embraced me, and I felt akin to a child being held by an ideal father. My son, your mission is not yet complete. Your parents need you, and the people who will hear your story require you. I need you to be my witness in a dark world. The pulling sensation intensified. But remember, he said, his voice trailing after me as everything began to fade. You are never alone. I am with you always. And one day, sooner than you may think, you will return here to stay. Suddenly, I found myself gasping and coughing up blood in the back of an ambulance. Machines beeped all around me, and my entire body felt as though it were ablaze. Tubes filled my mouth, and IVs lined my arms. He's back, someone shouted. We've got him back. My mother was there, tears streaming down her face as she clutched my hand so tightly it hurt. Daniel, oh baby, you returned to me. The paramedics were astonished. They informed me that I had been clinically dead for 19 minutes. No pulse, no brain activity, nothing. They had used the defibrillator on my heart 4 times and were on the verge of giving up when all of a sudden it resumed beating. Later, at the hospital, one of the doctors shook his head in disbelief. I have served as an emergency physician for 25 years, he remarked. With the amount of blood you lost and the duration of time you were without vital signs, you should have experienced severe brain damage if you survived at all. However, your scans are entirely normal. It is medically impossible. But I was not the same person anymore, not just in my body, which healed with astonishing speed, but within my soul, having glimpsed true perfection. Now, I found myself back in a fractured world. For weeks following the incident, I struggled to articulate what had transpired. Each time I attempted to share my encounter with Jesus, I would dissolve into tears. The memory of his love was so profound that everything else seemed dull in comparison. Gradually, I began to open up, first to my parents, then to other survivors, and eventually to reporters who arrived in town. The shooter had taken 26 lives that day, including Pastor Pomeroy's 14-year-old daughter, Annabelle, and 8 members of the Hullum family. However, the police later informed us that my actions, running toward him instead of away, had distracted him, just long enough for several families to flee through a side door. 12 individuals survived because of those fleeting seconds. But that is not the sole reason I'm sharing this story. I am relaying it because Jesus entrusted me with a message, and I vowed to share it. If you harbor anger in your heart, feel forgotten, hurt, or consumed with rage, I urge you to listen to me. That path leads straight to hell. I have witnessed its end, and it is more dreadful than your worst nightmare. However, it is not too late. Jesus is calling your name Right now, he desires to heal your heart, to fill that void with his love instead of allowing it to be filled with hatred. Do not wait. Do not nurture the anger for another day. Fall to your knees and ask him to help you choose love. If you are someone who feels afraid to attend church, fearful of taking your children to Sunday school due to potential dangers, I empathize with that fear. Nevertheless, please do not allow terror to prevail. Do not permit evil to achieve its goal of separating God's people. Your church needs your presence. Your children need to learn about Jesus. You require the strength that comes from worshiping alongside other believers. Yes, there may be dangers. Yes, bad things could happen. But I promise you this. If something were to occur to you in God's house while you seek his face, you would immediately enter paradise. And if nothing happens, you become a part of God's army combating the darkness in this world. If you have lost your faith because innocent individuals have perished in supposed safe havens, I understand. I truly do. Before this occurrence, I might have felt similarly. However, I now perceive the larger picture. Every act of evil is temporary. Every injustice will be addressed. Every tear will be wiped away, and love, genuine love, God's love, will ultimately triumph. The man who shot me and took the lives of 25 others is in hell at this very moment. Not because God desired it, but because he made that choice by nurturing his anger instead of seeking healing. The individuals he murdered are in paradise, more alive and joyful than they ever were on earth. I know this because I have been there. I have witnessed both realms. I have looked into the eyes of Jesus and felt love beyond comprehension. And I have seen the grim fate of those who choose hatred over love, violence over peace, and death over life. You still have time to make your choice, but that time is not endless. Every morning you wake up, Jesus calls your name. Each time you feel prompted toward kindness instead of anger, that is him. Every chance you have to choose forgiveness over bitterness, faith over fear, or love over hate is him extending yet another opportunity. Do not squander it. For I have seen what happens to those who do. And I have also witnessed the breathtaking paradise awaiting those who choose him. My name is Daniel Carter. I died for 19 minutes and returned with both a warning and a promise. The warning is that hell is real, filled with individuals who chose violence instead of love. The promise is that heaven is equally real, and Jesus is preparing a place for everyone who chooses him. Which will you choose? Do not wait too long to decide, for tomorrow may be too late.